So, Belle Delphine is in trouble, and it's for, well, it was intentional, as it always is with Belle, because she just kind of has she knows exactly what to do to get the attention that she's looking for. Anyway, the Belle Delphine drama now is pretty new. Just happened. I think she just posted this today. I'm terrible at looking at the camera. She just posted this today, and it's some rape fetish shit. You know, I'll include a trigger warning in the comments or in the description. It's a rape fantasy role play thing, and here's the thing: it's her getting tied up and taken in a van out into the woods to be fucked. Is that is that an obvious rape fetish play shit? Yes, obviously. Was that what she was going for? Obviously. Now people are saying, oh, she's also dressed like a young, which is a constant Belle Delphine critique. She dresses like she's little, like she's a little kid. So she shouldn't be allowed to do that. Well, one, if a grown woman dresses like it, it's not really dressing like a little kid. I'm not going to deny that, especially with a shit stirrer like Belle Delphine, that isn't the intention of what she is doing, but at the end of the day, she is a fully grown woman. And here's the thing. This is the kind of the thing that really bothers me about this is I'm seeing people, because I follow a lot of models on Twitter, and I'm seeing a lot of models who are like, I'm into bondage, and I even saw one who said, I'm into, like, damsel in distress scenarios, but this is too much. This is too much. Well, here's the thing. That doesn't mean anything. What is too much to you? Listen, I get it. I understand that if you're a woman who has been raped, or a man, or whatever, if you have been in that situation, and you see this content out of nowhere, that it can be triggering. I understand that, and I get that. But to sit there and act like it's not okay to even fantasize about, when you have fantasies that to other people, because here's the thing, there's layers to this shit, like onions. There are people who would look at BDSM fetishes, just a regular old, I like to get, tied up, and be like, oh, that's pretty fucked up, that's degenerate. You would definitely look at them and say, yeah, but it's all consensual. You might think it's weird and fucked up, and like, oh, the power dynamic situation in it is fucked up, but, we're safe. Nobody involved in this is actually, like, doing anything wrong. That's what's going on with Belle. The dude in the video, or in the pictures, or whatever the fuck she's putting out, I ain't paying for that shit, is someone she knows, boyfriend, whatever, friend, it doesn't matter. The point is, I understand, listen, everybody when it comes to fantasy has levels and layers to how far they're willing to go. And we all have a point where we get uncomfortable, and everybody has a different point. But the problem is when you try to tell other people what they can, cannot, or should not do based on your personal perception. Listen, one of the women I followed said she doesn't like this because she's been raped, and I totally understand that visceral gut reaction of being like, fuck this, I don't want to see this. That's fine. Block Belle Delphine, never see her content, do not. And if you don't like what she is putting out there, if you don't like the fantasy that she is feeding into, then you need to throw it. You need to not ever even mention her and just try and minimize her as much as possible, because you're not helping anybody. You're not making her less prone to do this kind of content when it gets the desired result of, one, turning on the people who are into this particular fetish, and two, pissing off the people who absolutely hate this fetish and want it to be gone. Because here's the thing, it's never going to be gone. A lot of these weird fetishes are never, they're always going to be people who enjoy them. And here's the thing, trying to totally get rid of them from fantasy is not going to help reality. Because when people are unable to indulge, when they're unable to have the catharsis of indulging in the fantasy of what they, think about, that tends to lead more to them wanting to do it in real life. Now, you could say that, oh, well, yeah, but seeing it in fantasy, that might drive them even more to want to do it too. And the truth is, this has never been bared out by any kind of studies in sex or violence. that people will, you know what I mean? It's the same thing. People can go around, Grand Theft Auto, one of the best-selling games of all time. The murders are not on the rise because of Grand Theft Auto. And they're not on the rise. Violence is really not on the rise. It is currently due to this horrible climate politically and shit we have, but general trends is violence has gone down as video game violence has increased. The more violent video games have gotten, the less violent we've gotten. Now, that doesn't mean that video games being violent is leading to less violence in real life. It just means that video games being violent and letting you kill people and all of this is not leading to more violence. So with the Belle Delphine thing is, listen, she's doing this to get your goat, first of all, and to feed into the weirdo creeps who do watch her. Now, here's the thing. I agree that this is a weird, creepy fantasy. It's not a kink that I have. I don't understand the appeal of it. But at the end of the day, some people do have this fantasy one way, whether it's women who have this fantasy of it happening to them or whether it's men having this fantasy of doing it. The thing is, if it stays in fantasy, it's fine, because I can judge your kink just as easily when I put myself in the perspective of, let's say I decide I'm going to look at your bondage kink through the perspective like a Mormon, or a really hardcore devout Catholic or something. I'm going to be able to say that what you do is wrong, even in fantasy, even in a safe environment. Now, the biggest argument people are going to have against this, even if they say, listen, okay, I don't have a problem with Belle doing this and being into this and being turned on by this. Personally, my problem with it is that Belle has a large audience and she is normalizing this kind of behavior to a lot of people. And that is the problem. The problem isn't necessarily that she has this fantasy. The problem is that she is sharing it and she is normalizing it, and she is going to, her fantasy, her partaking in this in a fantasy setting could lead to men doing this in real life because they think that, their girlfriend shares like an interest, or just a girl in general shares an interest in this, and they see that and they go, oh, she's into this, I'm going to do this to her, and let's see, we'll see how she likes it. And I find that argument to be a little bit laughable, because if you start on that trend of, well, we need to ban this because it could lead to this, then you basically can justify the banning of anything. And I personally don't believe anything in fantasy should be banned. Listen, I have a line too. Like everybody else, there are plenty of things I see in fiction that I shudder at and wonder, how could someone make this? How could someone be turned on by this? What the fuck is wrong with the people who do this? But the thing is, I'm not going to go and try and use a platform that I have to shame them for doing it. I'd be a lot more interested in talking to them and discovering what the root cause of their fetish is, rather than trying to rather than trying to browbeat them into not having it anymore, because guess what? That doesn't really work. So getting mad at Belle Delphine for doing this, one, you're just feeding into what she wants, and two, what she did is fantasy. It's not real. If it bothers you, that's totally fine. Block her. Don't talk about it, or even do, Hell, honestly, this is really what you should do. If you want this, if you really hate what Belle Delphine did and you want to make sure that it's not encouraged, that the slope doesn't slide with people actually going out and doing these things, be an advocate for telling people this. What she is doing, this is just a fantasy. This is not okay in real life. This is horrendous in real life, but it is a fantasy, and if you do it with a partner who is willing, and you're willing, and everybody knows, and there's safe words and everything, instead, use this as a teachable moment to teach people about kinky sex and how to do it safely. Instead, they just crucify Belle Delphine for doing what she always does, which is clout chasing.